Hello and welcome once again, folks, to another awesome episode of Customizing the Clone Wars. This is episode 45, and I am your host, as always, Peak Obi-Wan. Along with me, I have my co-host, and his name is Darth Daddy from the Customs for the Kid blog spot. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing really well. Really excited. We're talking about one of the cooler arcs, I think, in the Clone Wars television series. This one's Nightsisters, and I like it because you're starting to realize that a lot of characters on here, it's not just a black and white, good versus bad. You're starting to see that some of these characters have more to their story, and there's layers and there's complexity, and that's one of the coolest things about the Clone Wars. And tonight we'll be focusing on Asajj Ventress, and this is almost like a springboard for her that kind of carries her, that covers several seasons.
That's true. That's true. She is probably as dynamic as Ahsoka has been on this show. And this is kind of that point of, like you said, this is where everything changes. They meet a crossroads right here, right? And this is Nightsisters, and the original air date for this was January 7th, 2011. So this is kind of the first time in the new year, in 2011, that we have the assets, and they are changed. Their outfits look good. They're different. I guess time has gone by, and Ahsoka's a little bit older, right?
Yeah. I couldn't believe that we got some more than just one new outfit for Ventress in this episode.
Oh my goodness. This is where I wish they kept the Clone Wars stuff going, because I think she wears five or six different outfits in this.
Yeah.
Or
really
you see so many different looks for that one specific character. It's unreal. It's unreal. We'll count them as we go along. I think it's 5 or 6. But could you imagine if they made, just for example, they made the ninja version of Ventress, which you're going to show later in this episode, and they made a variant where she had the mask up, the mask down, the mask off, wearing the outfit, the Misty version, right? We've seen characters, we've seen toys and such where they're kind of see-through, and they're supposed to be like off in the mist or an apparition.
Like a cloaking device.
Right. What were those, the ones from the Force Unleashed, right? The Force Unleashed ones, they were kind of see-through, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, they were really cool.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So like we said, this is Nightsisters, and as we go into it, I will read from the episode guide, and it says, Darth Sidious orders Count Dooku to eliminate his apprentice, Asajj Ventress, as a test of his loyalty. Thanks only to Dooku's negligence, Ventress survives and flees to the planet Dathomir, where her kin take care of her. She plots with the Nightsisters matriarch, Mother Talzin, to take revenge on Dooku. Yes, excellent episode. And here we're seeing the Nightsisters, and what a cool group of essentially witches, right? Magic users, right? They brought magic into this episode, which is cool.
Yeah, it really expanded our view of what the Star Wars universe was, because they were powerful like Force users, but they weren't Jedi and they weren't Sith, and they were something altogether new. And it was interesting to see other aspects of the way things were being worshipped in that time period.
Yeah, I agree. I always felt like, growing up and reading the EU and all of these different things, I thought that the dark side, or the Sith, they dealt in magics. They were always like over cauldrons or something like that. And maybe their force powers were derived by magic, but I guess since they took that element and pulled it into the Nightsisters and made them really cool. This is a great shot if you're seeing this here. You see Taliesin and you see some of the Nightsisters, and you even see Ventress in one of her looks. That's the ninja disguise without the mask, right?
Yep.
Yes, indeed. So let's get into this episode. The fortune cookie says the swiftest path to destruction is through vengeance. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. Vengeance usually, nothing ever, you never hear any positive things coming out of that, or not anything non-destructive coming out of vengeance. Usually it's there, you use the word because there's stuff going on that's pretty heavy.
Yeah. And as we, just like in Rebels recently, we saw Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. They fought, and Maul was always coming with vengeance, right? He was always going to this guy with vengeance. And I have a feeling that Obi-Wan was
I think
just...
it's a this path to destruction as well.
Yeah.
One
yeah.
shot.
Right. And I think he pitied him all the time because that's all this guy could see. And I think as we go into this episode, we see why Ventress is the way she is. She's kind of this dark person, jaded, if you will, because of her past, and we see her whole past. Was this the first time that we've seen her in a long while? Have we not seen Ventress in a long time? What was the last episode we saw?
I feel like we haven't. Cad Bane's kind of been taken front and center.
I can't recall which one we saw her. Yeah, I know she had been gone for a while, but when they brought her back like this, and she was wearing an outfit, and she came rolling up in this awesome ship. I call it the Fan Blade.
Yeah, I have a little mini version of that ship.
Is that right?
Yeah.
This was so cool because one of the things it really did for me is it took me back to the original Micro series, and here is the how they envisioned the Fan Blade fighter in the Micro series, right? And I just love that. It's very underappreciated in some circles of the Star Wars community. And since Samurai Jack has been back on Cartoon Network on Adult Swim, I just really enjoy Tartakovsky's work. So, and it was great to see this ship. There's different elements of it, but what a cool ship, right?
I have I gotta get it on the stand. Well, anyway, here it is.
Yeah.
Right here.
Look at that.
Yeah, I got a little mini one.
Very cool.
Yeah, I forget who made it. Tadix, or I forget what they called it. Up to speed on my vehicle lines, especially the miniature ones.
Yeah, not only did they bring in the Fan Blade thing, but she also had a different look as well.
Yeah, it was based. Is she in the white outfit right now? Or that white and gray one, kind of with the ribbing?
Yeah, and it harkens back to actually the Micro series as well, where we see that outfit where it originated originally. But
the comics too, actually, the Republic comics.
That's right. And before we go into that, what's that?
She came in that that comic pack.
Yeah, the comic 2-pack. Ultimately, because that's how we knew her, right? Before we saw the Clone Wars, before we actually got to this series, right? That's the only way we really knew her, was in that outfit.
Team up with Dirge, right? In the comics?
Yeah, right.
But Dirge never moved to the Clone Wars.
Right.
Kind of is a character in the comics. And
I think Dave had said that that's why they brought in Cad Bane. They were going to bring back Dirge, but he just thought they needed somebody new.
Which was in the Micro series, at least.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure. And this is kind of a bummer. I really wish they took that Sidious and they made a holographic version of him, because that's really the only way we see him, except towards the end, right?
You know, you could probably easily make one molding and casting though.
Yep.
All you have to do is take the cape off and then use some like substitute rubber cape, and yeah, you could end up making one pretty easily, I bet.
Yeah. But we find out that he orders Dooku to eliminate her, because who knows, was his real mission to just be a Sith Lord, or was he trying to infiltrate this Sith? Who knows? Do we ever know?
I think he didn't want her dead, and I think he knew he was screwed. There was no way he was gonna be able to save her life, but you did get the impression that he didn't want to kill her. If he had a choice, she would have survived, and he had to do it to, you know,
show his allegiance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's that micro series I was talking about. This is her initial look, and I think since, you know, Dave or George, I should say, made that original micro series, they often paid homage to it. Even the original outfits for Anakin and Obi-Wan, they were both derived from that series. So
I'm curious how well the head swaps with the comic pack figure.
What's that?
I'm curious how well the Clone Wars head would head swap with the body of that comic pack figure.
I wonder. Yeah, that would be a cool head swap.
Yeah.
Kit bash.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, I definitely want to make this one at some point. So here is the #1 version of Ventress, and we see her. These are some of my favorite shots from that original micro series. But there it is, and she actually has the dress on, which is really cool. That's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'd really like to make this at some point. So here we find out it's very Revenge of the Sith, isn't it? Where they're having a dogfight, and then they end up crashing on one of the separatist ships, and they start fighting her. And she's almost winning. She's besting these guys, even though there's 2 of them and only 1 of her, right?
Yeah.
So this tactical droid gets the order to blow up the ship, basically, and she just barely escapes, right? And this is that Trandoshan scavenger, remember?
That's awesome with the Tusken Raider up there with the rifle.
Yeah, the Tusken Raider, right? Right. And
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, if they would have made this ship, they could have repainted it several times. This series is so primed for an awesome toy collection, right?
Yeah, by far.
And so they pull her in, and this is a bunch of different weak ways. Has anybody out there tried the weak way yet? I hope so.
I made the one in the back behind the Twi'lek.
Yeah, you got a picture of him?
On the fly, I did it.
Yeah.
For the other pirate that we're going to see later on.
Yeah.
Well, I can get it really.
We'll save it for him. That's okay. That's okay. So basically, she kills these guys, right? Well, just for sake of time, she kills these guys, and she takes their ship. She commandeers their ship, and she goes to Dathomir. We finally see the witch world, right?
Which it was incredible. I love the way they designed that.
Oh, I know. And they had like this magic going on. Kind of, you could hear their voices echoing in the air as they speak.
I feel like they nailed the whole feel of that planet.
Yeah,
and the way they nice job.
Yep. And they were really an amazing bunch of characters. And I thought I would start with mine, and we're going to also see some of your Nightsisters as well. So these are kind of the sisters that they're like they're the dominant people of the world, right? Compared to the men, right?
Oh yeah, the matriarchal society all the way.
Yeah, and here's my version of the Nightsister, basically, and I used an aura sing instead of using the Ventress. And,
oh, nice.
And
On the whole body or just the head?
I use the whole body, actually.
Nice.
And this is my version of the Nightsister. And basically, I just sculpted the additional parts on there. Yet everything that you're seeing there it's just a aura sing underneath. Did you use Ventress on yours?
I used Ventress.
Well, let's take a look at those.
Okay. For like the ones I did, I Am Boba Fett was actually selling heads on eBay. So I knew I could just take the Ventress body, do a quick repaint. I added on some like gauntlets, I think from some G.I. Joe samurai helmet or something, for to fill out the sides of her below the belt. And I used red lightsabers. And if you look, a lot of the handles I think are from Savaggio Press blade, the one that shot the projectile. If you look, parts of that bow and arrow are actually Ventress lightsabers.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. I kind of made these on the fly. These are actually really old customs for me. I made these in 2012 for Elias's 9th birthday.
Oh, wow.
I was supposed to just be Talzin, and then at the last minute, I decided to make 2 Nightsisters to go with her. And then Imperial Shipyards had this contest going on. And I was in the middle of making all 3, and then they were like, it was like you had to make a team of 4. And I was like, oh my God, like, if I did make a 4th, I'd have to have all 4 characters made in a period of like 3 days. Like basically, I made all 4 of like the Ventress, these 2 Nightsisters I'm going to show, and the Talzin. I made all in a period of 3 days, and I actually had to pull an all-nighter on one of those nights to get it done because it was over like a weekend, and I think Elias's birthday was like on a Monday, and I had to finish kind of on Sunday. It would have only been 3 figures if Imperial Shipyards had not had that contest, because that pushed me to get the 4th, but I had to have my 4th before at least a month before everybody else because of Elias's birthday. But yeah. All right, so that's the first one. And I think on that one I sculpted the wings out of Aves. It's probably not something I would do now. Luckily it's fine. But I'd probably do something like that out of green stuff of Procreate at this point. Where I think another one I cut out of like cape material. Okay, so are you getting this one?
Yeah, check that out. That's cool. Tell me how you made that sword.
Basically I sanded away parts of a sword. I sculpted some of it. There's even like, I don't even remember what that piece of metal is from. But I was trying to get as close. Actually, I think the sword is from Prince of Persia, now that I think about it. And I tried to like add in more of the shape. This is me when I first started learning how to sculpt. This may even be one of my first sculpting projects. So I was really rough around the edges. I think this is before I knew that you're supposed to sand your sculpts to make everything even and smooth. And smoothing for me was using my fingers with water on them. But yeah, so that's basically the Ventress body. Sculpting in this area here, sculpting a little bit on the sword over here, and also in this area. These I cut out of cape material, like the rubber capes, and this is the I Am Boba Fett cast.
Yeah, I feel for those back fins or whatever that are on their backs. I feel it's best to use plastic also. I used I think I used Procreate on mine, and it's real rubbery, or it can be real rubbery. And what I did is I cut it to shape and just let it dry, basically. But as we go on, we see that they take her in, and we get to see Mother Talzin, right? And this is like they said, it's the matriarch, right? And I'm going to let you share on this one also. And this is one of your favorites, isn't it? One of your favorite costumes?
I think this is the first one where I went all out, and I tried to go outside my wheelhouse. So this is actually made with. She's as tall as like a Chewbacca. I ended up having to extend the height on her
Mm-hmm.
using two of those. Remember that pack that came with Savage and Maul and Mother Talzin in like a 3-pack, or it was a Night Sister
Yeah, it was
that
a Night
I
Sister
guess
concept. That was so weird.
it was,
Strange.
but this is basically made with that. I used that same cape material to long, I guess whatever this part is here on her clothing,
Mm-hmm.
shoulder pads and wing accents. This is all sculpted in with green stuff here, those
Mm-hmm.
tassels, because I had to get rid of those braids. I had to extend the sleeves. I had to basically most of this cape here, half of it is, soft goods. The other half is green stuff. I basically made that whole back piece out of green stuff, and these are again cape parts that are coming off here. And then the green came from the electrocuting Darth Vader figure that was out at the time. That ended up on two different kinds of cards. One was remember that set? It was like a almost like an octagon, and it had the Jar Jar in it on the vintage card, and it had what line was that called? Do you remember?
Mm. Octagon, no. Mm-mm.
It's all right. It was an exclusive, but
You just basically, oh, I know what you're talking about. One of the San Diego Comic Con exclusives.
yeah. So you know the Vader, the electrocuting Vader that came in that with
Yes. Mhm.
see through
Just
helmet.
basically used some of the electrifying elements
Yep. To
to
make
turn
the
it into
myth.
our magic, right? Cool. Very good. That's pretty rad.
The
I like
paint,
that.
and I did different colors of red just to break up the color in her pants and along the sleeves and
Did you have to do
um,
anything to that head, or was it the same?
I had to add. I think I had to extend the diamond a bit, um, and I also had to sand the upper body because if
Hmm.
you remember, the chest didn't look like this, so I had to basically change the whole upper body to make it look like Talzin.
Yeah.
And this has double. I extended the length of the thighs and the length of the shins on this figure as well to give her the height that she needed. And it was cool. Like Custom Action Figure News did like a sort of like custom of the year thing at the end of that year, and they
Hmm.
named this as Chad said this was his favorite custom that year, which was kind of cool. Because I'm like waiting to hear who it was. And when he said it was my figure, I was like, man, I was shocked because I was like the last person that I would have ever thought would have been mentioned, but it felt really good. That was like, oh, all that hard work was worth it.
Very cool. Very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And so we
No,
see this character, this awesome witch, right? And she's flowing and she's strange and everything. And she basically says, "Forget about this guy. You don't need him anymore. We're gonna try to get you back into our fold." And they pull her in, and they're basically, since they're witches, they kind of put her on this bed, right? And here we see her once again. This is another different look where she doesn't have the dress on, right? She
yeah,
has that
that's even
same
cooler
outfit,
in some ways.
right?
It's I'm
So
gonna end up wanting to buy all these different
yeah.
adventures. So
So here's
man,
look number two, right? And while she has wounds, I guess, and what's going on is they're using this magic to kind of rejuvenate her, get bring her back to normal, kind of. And through these mists, through these waters, we get to see our first. Is this our first flashback that we see? I think it was. I think we
oh
actually,
yeah,
yeah, we never
this might be
really
the first
knew.
flashback in Star Wars, right?
Yeah, the first flashback in Star Wars. Well, we did see in Revenge of the Sith.
The dream
Yeah,
sequences, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did see that. We did see Anakin. So that came before this.
You mean with Padme dying in childbirth, or?
Yeah. Right. Right.
But that's a flash
So
forward, not a flashback, right?
that's right. That's right. So here's yet another look, the infant version.
That would be a cool one to have.
Yep, yep. And she's given to this brainy guy because they have to settle some kind of clan dispute or something like that. So their sacrifice was um, not forgotten about, right? So she's on a different world, and her master gets killed, right? So she's constantly seeing these people get killed around her, right? And she meets this guy now, right? And before we go on to this guy, you want to show your weak way?
Yeah, I'll do that really fast because that's in between.
And
so I guess that first master, the Brainiac guy,
yep,
ended up getting killed right when that Jedi Master showed up.
Yeah.
And this is him actually showing up right here, jumping in. She's actually at the front here of the, like, kind of back over this way with the master that died. He's like a Brainiac with these cool tattoos. Like, I kind of wanted to make him the first time I saw him.
Yeah, he has kind of a butterfly on his face, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's got a really cool look about him.
So this is your weak way you wanted to show us. And tell us real quick how you go about making just a standard weak way for maybe people who maybe want to attempt to do a weak way.
Yeah, sure. So this specific one was just the Shehan Alama body. I did have to add some cuff top of the boots right below the knee, so that's some green stuff in there. Same thing, the band right here on the legs, green stuff, and then I just used an ammo pack that I had. So this is also from Shehan Alama, just repainted. The forearms are Hondo Inaka's. And the head is a resin cast that, like, basically at one point in time, I had taken the Shehan Alama and I shaved that hat off of his head, and then I just resculpted in a Weequay pirate head. And then I made a mold of it, I casted it, and now I could make these Weequay pirate heads whenever I want. And basically all I have to do is just paint them up and throw them on a body.
Very cool.
You could add braids, whatever you feel like doing, but you know, it cuts the process down a lot. It makes it a faster process.
Yeah, I did a similar thing. I thought that it would have been so easy to just shave that helmet or that beret off, right? And
yep.
We would have more weak ways. I'm surprised they really didn't make more weak ways as much as we saw them in this series, right?
Yeah, that's something they should have made, like a 3-pack, like a Weequay 3-pack or something that people could have just gone crazy on.
Right. So here's the next version of Ventress that we see. We find out that this Jedi that lives on Ratatak, that planet that they're on, he finds out that she has amazing force powers, you know, and I'm guessing he decided to just take her under his wing without telling the council. Maybe I don't think they knew, or they don't allude to them knowing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because no one ever said, oh, she used to be a Jedi at any point.
Right. Yeah, so I'm guessing he just decided to take it upon himself to train her. And she looked really cool in this one. And we realized, wow, she had hair.
Yeah, punk rock girl.
Yeah, a little punk rock. She had her little choker and everything, but
and they went back to that hairstyle later on.
Yeah, I know. She decides to grow her hair back eventually, but this guy dies also, right? So just her life is consumed with people dying and being taken away from things in her life. Then, of course, we go to the next one where we're seeing Dooku taking her under her wing, and she's wearing her original outfit. So there's the next look for her. So many looks for her. And then here's the next one. I'm telling you, man, there's at least 6 to 8 different looks. And we see the ninja version, and you have a custom of this as well, right?
Yeah, like when I did that project for Elias's birthday, I
Mm-hmm.
ended up doing like all the different heads that kind of went along with that look because at one point you have the cover across the face, like here, and then in another one, it's kind of off. I think it's
Tell me how you made this one.
so basically that's just the same Ventures figure with just green stuff to change things up a bit. Um, Probably better off closing that out and just going right to it. So yeah, you have her with the mask, then with it off. But this whole area here is green stuff. This is all green stuff. The boots I just took plastic and like cut the shapes I needed, and this is all. She's pretty much 100% green stuff because that's what I was using at the time. Except for I think the hood I did out of Abe's. Yes. That might be the only thing that I kept as Abe's. Because it sanded well, but yeah, I would say everything else on her is green stuff and it's just hand sculpted. And I think
Yeah,
even at the time, it's basically just using an X-Acto knife to do it because like I was really beginner at this point in time. But yeah, I just kind of did the 3 different versions of her in this outfit. And I tried to make this tool. I'd probably go back and shorten this, but at the time, I think yeah, I just have to shorten areas to fix it. But you know, when you do it 5 years ago, you think of different ways that you could do everything later on.
oh yeah, for sure.
But
You
yeah,
know, there's always retired figures. You know, I've been doing this since you know, and I've definitely retired figures over time because you're just, you
oh yeah,
know, there's a point where you could do better, you know.
yeah. You end up going back later and fixing things, and it's funny. Like I almost felt like I wanted to go back and like either add more Nightsisters, fix up the ones that were there, because you know you learn new techniques and you can like make things so much better as you go. And in some ways, those I would say the Nightsisters 5 years later could use a revisit for sure.
Yeah.
But you
Are,
know, it's nice to have them on shelf too.
are you seeing this photo here, this image?
Yep.
Check that out. Look at her lightsaber.
Yeah, she has a different lightsaber blade. I have that one.
That's so
It's
odd.
basically I used the same lightsaber that came with that Night Sister
Oh,
in
is that
that three
right?
pack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird because she has her regular lightsabers. So this must have been just kind of a production shot of some sort. Um, because there she is with her actual sabers, and that looks
Yep.
pretty cool.
Yeah, when I display her up here, she's got her.
Very good. And then here we go to the next one. They realized they want to go and try to take. This is her exacting vengeance that she wants to put on Dooku. So, of course, Mother Talzin turns them in the mist. She says, "Take 2 of her best warriors with them, and they're going to go and actually try to assassinate Dooku."
Yep.
And this was one of my favorite things about this episode because we actually find Count Dooku resting, and he's actually in bed, right?
Yeah, wearing his PJs.
Wearing his PJs, and I just had to make this character. So this is going to be my first time reveal of Count Dooku in his PJs, and here's an asset of it. So I thought I'd take kind of reference from this and try to make this character. And there he is, right there.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that funny? Oh man.
Yeah.
I had fun with this character. Basically, the belt is one of those GI Joe belts from not the Storm Shadow, or it was from the Storm Shadow. It was the kind of a plastic belt you could just remove from the torso, and it
Yeah,
worked
that is
really
awesome.
good. Yeah, and then the rest of it is just simply a little bit of the procreate. So there is Count Dooku in his PJs.
That is awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I thought it was cool. They actually shot some kind of dart into his neck, so it numbed his senses, right? So he really couldn't use his eyes anyway because they blurred his senses, and he's like, he's having a Kanan moment. He's like, I don't need my eyes to see you, and he thinks they're Jedi because they have green and blue lightsabers, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's just cool for him. He really showed how powerful Dooku was.
Yeah, he was pretty amazing, and he bested them in the end with Sith lightning, of course. Yep. And this ultimately could be another version of Ventress being electrocuted. And of course, as they flew out the window, their magic, the magic had come off of them, right? And here is Mother Talzin realizing that they failed. And she takes the matters into her own hands. She basically says, there's something else that we can do. So she contacts Count Dooku and she says, how about we give you another apprentice? Instead of what your apprentice was, maybe we'll give you a guy, this time a male version, right? And he's like, how did you know my apprentice is gone? And she's like, I have my ways. I always thought that was kind of weird, that he should be suspicious of that. You know what I'm saying?
She's got a crystal ball.
Yeah, it's true. The shattered crystal ball with Darth Maul's head in it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, she says in the end, she says, you will get another chance at this. Just be patient, and we'll give you the opportunity to get back at him again. Since you failed this time, we'll try to do something else.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So that is our episode. That's a great one. That's definitely something that's really amazing. It really takes us into the next chapter. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, the crossroads, right? Of where we're going in the Clone Wars. But when I'm not here,
the whole dynamic changes on its head, and you go from just good guys versus bad guys to like free for all.
Oh, that's so true.
The rest.
Yeah,
it's just like who knows what kind of story you're gonna get. It's just everything but the kitchen sink. It's so cool, so complex, and like it just showed that Ventress' story was just as big as Ahsoka's, like you were saying. This is a show just as much about apprentices as it was about the masters and the clones. And
yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be just the coolest kind of change. They fight with good guys, fight with bad guys fight bad guys. From this point on, it's
good guys and bad guys join forces. It's it's still a ride.
Yes, indeed. Well, awesome, man. Well, when I'm not here, you can find me on Facebook at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations or Clone Wars Custom Figures. And where can we find you when you're not here?
You can find me at the Customs for the Kid blog, www.customsforthekid.blogspot.com. You can hit up our action figure index. It's where you're going to see everything that we've made here on the blog. From there, you can also catch us on Facebook, YouTube, where you're watching us now, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Google+, Pinterest. We've got Customs I Wish I Owned, which is lots of different artists that we don't have in the collection, but just amazing customs. Chad's work is there because I have a lot of pieces of his that I wish I had, but I don't. And then Spotlight, where you're going to see other customizers that are featured here on the blog that you can check out. And that's another cool place too. You can see the collection here at the blog. But
Awesome.
yeah, that's everything.
Very cool. Well, join us next time as we talk about Monster, and we will have a special guest. So we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody, and may the force be with you.